You think you know the ocean. Blue water, coral reefs, maybe a dolphin or a whale if you're lucky, but there's an entire universe beneath the surface that makes science fiction look boring. We're talking about creatures living at depths where the pressure would crush a submarine, animals that glow in the absolute dark, predators with teeth longer than your fingers, hunting in water so cold it should be solid ice. The deep ocean covers more than 60% of Earth's surface, and we've explored less than 5% of it. Which means every time scientists drop a camera into the black zones, they're rolling dice on what nightmare or wonder comes back on the footage. Some of these animals have been down there for millions of years, evolving adaptations so extreme they shouldn't be possible. Eyes the size of dinner plates, jaws that unhinge to swallow prey twice their size, bodies that produce their own light in a place where the sun has never reached. No photosynthesis, no plants, just an endless rain of death from above that becomes the foundation of the strangest food chain on the planet. This is extreme ocean life, and these are the animals, rewriting what we thought was possible. If you value documented ocean biology and deep sea exploration like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from the Nippon Foundation Nekton Ocean Census 2024 Arctic Deep Expedition, published in Ocean Census Reports from May 2024, and recent peer-reviewed findings published in November 2025 by Pensoft Publishers on 14 newly discovered species from hadal depths exceeding 6,000 meters, documented by the Ocean Species Discoveries Initiative. These aren't random internet claims. These are specimens, collected, preserved, DNA sequenced and verified by institutions including the Smithsonian, Schmidt Ocean Institute, and Chinese Academy of Sciences. Now back to the information. Let's start where almost nothing should survive. The Hadal Zone, named after Hades, the Greek underworld, because once you pass 6,000 meters depth, you've entered a realm of permanent darkness, near freezing water, and pressure that exceeds 1,100 atmospheres. That's 50 jumbo jets pressing down on every square meter of your body. At that depth, your lungs would collapse instantly, your bones would fracture, your cells would rupture. And yet, life thrives there. Not just survives, thrives. In 2025, Chinese researchers using the manned submersible Fenduje documented thriving communities at 9,500 meters in Pacific Ocean trenches, the deepest chemosynthesis-based ecosystems ever recorded. These creatures don't rely on sunlight. They feed on chemicals seeping from cracks in the seafloor, converting hydrogen sulfide and methane into energy through bacterial partnerships. The communities include tube worms, bivalves, and strange spiky white organisms spread across 2,500 kilometers of trench floor from depths of 5,800 meters to 9,500 meters. It's life without light, sustained by Earth's internal chemistry. The Hadal snailfish holds the record as the deepest living vertebrate, filmed at depths between 6,000 and 8,100 meters. Pseudoliparis swirae, discovered in the Mariana Trench, looks like a translucent tadpole melted into gelatin. No scales, no swim bladder. A skeleton made mostly of cartilage instead of bone because bone would shatter under that pressure. Its body is 70% water and trimethylamine N-oxide, a molecule that stabilizes proteins and membranes when pressure tries to crush them. Studies published in 2023 show TMAO levels directly correlate with depth. The deeper the fish lives, the higher its TMAO concentration. Hadal snailfish at 8,000 meters have TMAO levels 3 times higher than fish at 3,000 meters. But there's a limit. Below 8,500 meters, the concentration of TMAO needed becomes toxic, creating a theoretical maximum depth for vertebrate fish. Below that line, only invertebrates continue. Amphipods, sea cucumbers, organisms without bones, without the same osmotic pressures, capable of descending even deeper into the planet's ultimate abyss. Genetic analysis reveals Hadal snailfish entered the trenches only a few million years ago, then rapidly adapted and spread across Pacific trenches within 1 million years. They lost genes for color vision, because there's no color in absolute darkness. They kept Rh1 and Nat1 genes for monochromatic dim light vision and upregulated CLDNJ genes associated with hearing, 3 copies instead of 1. Their auditory system became hypersensitive to detect the faintest vibrations, prey moving, predators approaching, the rare sounds that travel through that crushing silence. Circadian rhythm genes like PIR2A, CRY1A, CRY3, CRY5, and GPR19 are either absent or barely expressed because in a world of eternal night, there's no day-night cycle to track. Yet essential clock control genes remain active, suggesting some internal timing mechanism we don't yet understand. These fish also evolved more flexible cell membranes with unique lipid compositions that compress without breaking, incorporating pressure-resistant compounds called piezolites that stabilize cellular structures. A 2025 study showed fish below 3,000 meters share a genetic mutation in the RFT1 gene, enhancing transcriptional efficiency under high pressure, a key adaptation that appears again and again in deep species. Amphipods dominate the hadal food web. These crustacean-like scavengers swarm in thousands at depths where most predators can't function. Alisella gigantea, the supergiant amphipod, grows to over 34 centimeters long, 10 times the size of its shallow water cousins. Deep sea gigantism. It's a recurring pattern. Limited food, extreme cold, high pressure, low metabolism. Larger bodies retain heat better, need less food relative to mass, and face fewer predators because so few animals can handle those conditions. Kleiber's law states that as organisms grow, their metabolic rate per unit mass decreases. A mouse burns energy fast. An elephant, proportionally, burns slow. In the deep sea, where every calorie is precious, going big means surviving long stretches between meals. These amphipods feed on marine snow, dead plankton, fecal pellets, mucus, organic debris drifting down from the surface like a slow-motion blizzard of death. It can take weeks for a particle to fall from the sunlight zone to the hadal depths, and by the time it arrives, it's degraded, low in nutrients, barely worth eating. But the amphipods have evolved specialized digestive enzymes. Hirandelia gigas, a hadal amphipod, possesses a unique cellulose that breaks down wood debris buried on the seafloor. Coconut shells, bamboo, terrestrial plant matter washed into trenches by storms and currents. This adaptation allows them to extract nutrition from sources other deep-sea animals can't touch, giving them an edge in an environment where food is the ultimate currency. Move up from the hadal zone into the midnight zone, the bathypelagic, 3,000 to 4,000 meters deep, and you enter the realm of bioluminescence. 76% of all visible marine organisms in the mesopelagic and bathypelagic zones produce their own light. It's not an exception, it's the rule. In a world without sun, animals became their own stars. The chemical reaction is simple but astonishingly efficient. Luciferin, a light-emitting molecule, combines with oxygen in the presence of luciferase, an enzyme catalyst, releasing energy as light with almost zero heat loss. Cold light. Different species evolved distinct luciferin variations, creating blue, green, red, even yellow bioluminescence, depending on their needs. Blue and green wavelengths travel farthest through water, which is why most deep-sea creatures glow in those colors. But some, like certain dragonfish in the genera Aristostomias, Pachystomias, and Malacosteus, emit red light. Red wavelengths don't penetrate deep water naturally, so to most deep-sea animals red is invisible. Dragonfish use red bioluminescent photophores beneath their eyes as spotlights, illuminating prey that remain blind to that wavelength. They see dinner. Dinner sees nothing. It's a private flashlight in a public blackout, and it gives them a staggering hunting advantage. Bioluminescence evolved independently at least 40 separate times in marine organisms, driven by the extreme selective pressures of deep-sea darkness. Counter-illumination is one common strategy. Many fish, like lanternfish and hatchetfish, have photophores on their undersides that match the dim light filtering from above. When predators hunt from below looking up for silhouettes against faint surface glow, these fish adjust their bioluminescence to erase their shadow. They become invisible, transparent. Studies show 76% of macroscopic individuals in the water column possess bioluminescent capability, making it possibly the most common form of communication on Earth. Animals use light to find mates, distinct flashing patterns that signal species and readiness to breed. They use it to lure prey, like the anglerfish dangling a glowing esker filled with symbiotic bacteria. They use it for defense. The vampire squid, when threatened, releases a cloud of glowing mucus that hangs in the water like a smokescreen, confusing predators while the squid jets away. A taller jellyfish flash in a spinning alarm pattern called a bioluminescent burglar alarm, attracting larger predators to attack whatever's attacking it. A scream for help made of light. Bristlemouth fish, genus Cyclothone, are the most abundant vertebrates on the planet. Billions upon billions of these small bioluminescent fish patrol the mesopelagic zone, outnumbering every land animal combined. They migrate vertically each night, rising toward the surface to feed on zooplankton, then descending back to depth before dawn. This daily vertical migration, involving trillions of organisms, is the largest movement of biomass on Earth, transporting carbon from surface waters to the deep in a process called the biological carbon pump. When these animals die or excrete waste in the depths, they lock carbon away from the atmosphere for centuries or millennia, playing a critical role in regulating Earth's climate. The deep ocean is not just a repository of strange life, it's a climate engine. Let's talk about the giants. The colossal squid, Mesonychoteuthis hamiltoni, is the heaviest invertebrate on Earth. A single specimen caught in 2007 weighed 495 kilograms with a mantle length of 2.5 meters. But beaks recovered from sperm whale stomachs suggest even larger individuals exist, potentially reaching 600 to 700 kilograms. Unlike the giant squid, which is long and lean, the colossal squid is built like a tank, short, thick, heavy. Its tentacles are equipped with rotating hooks, sharp as razors, capable of latching onto struggling prey. It lives in the frigid Southern Ocean, around Antarctica, at depths between 1,000 and 2,200 meters, where temperatures hover just above freezing. Its eyes are the largest in the animal kingdom, measuring 27 to 30 centimeters in diameter, larger than a dinner plate, with pupils 9 centimeters across. Those enormous eyes can detect the faintest bioluminescence at vast distances, allowing it to spot prey, predators, or potential mates in near-total darkness. Studies suggest the eyes evolved not just to find food, but to detect the bioluminescent plankton disturbed by sperm whales swimming through the water, giving the squid an early warning system against its primary predator from distances exceeding 120 meters. The giant squid, Architeuthis dux, is longer but lighter. Females can reach 16 feet in mantle length, with feeding tentacles extending another 33 feet when deployed, for a total length up to 43 feet, based on measured specimens. Claims of 60-foot squid persist in folklore, but no scientifically documented specimen approaches that size. Genetic analysis suggests only one species of giant squid exists worldwide, distributed across all major oceans from the North Atlantic near Newfoundland and Norway to the South Pacific near New Zealand and Australia. They hunt at depths between 300 and 1,000 meters using those massive eyes, up to 27 centimeters in diameter, just slightly smaller than the colossal squids, to detect prey in dim light. They ambush fish and other squid, shooting out their concealed tentacles at blinding speed, grasping victims with thousands of sucker-lined arms before dragging them to a parrot-like beak that tears flesh into bite-sized chunks. A sophisticated nervous system and complex brain make them intelligent hunters, capable of learning and adapting tactics. But despite their size and power, they're not apex predators. Sperm whales dive to hunting depths, endure the pressure, and engage in battles that leave both animals scarred. Squid beaks are found in whale stomachs. Circular sucker scars mark whale skin. It's a war fought in darkness, thousands of meters down, and we've barely witnessed it. In April 2025, researchers aboard Schmidt Ocean Institute's Falkor 2 achieved a milestone, filming the colossal squid in its natural habitat for the first time. Until that moment, every colossal squid observation came from dead specimens in nets or washed ashore. The footage shows a creature moving with surprising grace despite its mass, arms trailing, eyes reflecting the submersible's lights like twin moons in the abyss. It's a reminder that even the largest animals on Earth remain fundamentally mysterious, living entire lives in places humans can visit for only minutes at a time under immense technological strain. The vampire squid, Vampiroteuthis infernalis, vampire squid from hell, occupies a unique ecological niche. It's neither true squid nor octopus, the last surviving member of the order Vampiromorphida, a phylogenetic relict that split from other cephalopods millions of years ago. It thrives in the oxygen minimum zone, OMZ, where dissolved oxygen drops to 3% or less, levels that would suffocate most marine life. Vampire squid have the lowest mass-specific metabolic rate of any cephalopod, slower even than jellyfish of similar size. Their blue blood contains hemocyanin with exceptionally high oxygen binding efficiency, aided by gills with large surface areas that extract every molecule of available oxygen. They maintain buoyancy with ammonia-rich gelatinous tissue that matches the density of seawater, requiring no energy to hover. Weak muscles mean they can't sustain high-speed chases, but they don't need to. They feed on marine snow, detrital matter, fecal pellets, discarded Larvesian houses, crustacean remains, captured with two long retractile filaments covered in sensory hairs. 20 years of ROV observations, published in 2012, revealed they drift passively, filaments extended, waiting for food to drift into contact. When it does, they reel it in, mix it with mucus secreted from their suckers, and form it into balls before consuming it. They're detritivores in a predator's body, scavenging the ocean's garbage in a zone where most predators can't breathe. When threatened, vampire squid invert their webbed arms over their bodies in a defensive posture called the pineapple or pumpkin position, exposing rows of harmless but intimidating kiri, fleshy spines that make them appear larger and more dangerous. If that fails, photophores at the tips of their arms flash in coordinated patterns, creating a confusing light show while bioluminescent mucus ejects from their arm tips, hanging in the water like glowing fog. Then they vanish, gliding away on weak but efficient fins. No ink sac, no jet propulsion sprint. Just misdirection and patience in an environment where energy is too scarce to waste on panic. Fossil evidence published in 2021 shows vampiromorphs have occupied oxygen-depleted zones since at least the Oligocene, 30 million years ago, surviving oceanic anoxic events and climate shifts that wiped out countless other lineages. Their adaptations to low oxygen aren't recent. They've been perfecting survival in hostile waters for tens of millions of years. The deep sea is also a realm of ultra-blackness. Some fish absorb 99.7% of light that hits them, rendering them nearly invisible even when illuminated by bioluminescence. The fangtooth, Anoplogasta carnuta, and the Pacific black dragon, Idiocanthus antrostomus, possess skin packed with melanosomes, organelles containing melanin arranged in continuous thin layers that trap and absorb light. This structure prevents reflection, making the fish vanish against the black backdrop. Dr. Karen Osborne from the Smithsonian's National Museum of Natural History, in a 2020 study, measured reflectance using a special black reflectance probe on 18 ultra-black fish from the Gulf of Mexico and Monterey Bay. 16 species reflected less than 0.5% of light at 480 nanometers, the peak wavelength of deep-sea ambient light and most bioluminescence. 2 species reflected less than 0.6%. For context, regular black objects reflect about 10 to 20% of light. These fish are effectively stealth technology, evolved over millions of years. If you're a predator, you can't eat what you can't see. If you're prey, invisibility means survival. Dragonfish take a different approach. Malacosteus niger, the stoplight loosejaw, emits both blue and red light. The red comes from chlorophyll pigments inside its eyes, the same chlorophyll found in plants, repurposed to detect long wavelengths. It's the only known animal to use chlorophyll for vision. The fish hunts with a red spotlight, scanning the darkness for prey that evolved to hide from blue bioluminescence. Most deep-sea creatures can't see red light. To them, the dragonfish is hunting in infrared, an invisible predator with an invisible beam. Its jaws are loosely hinged, allowing the mouth to open impossibly wide, swallowing prey up to half its own body length. Teeth like needles protrude even when the mouth is closed, giving it a nightmarish appearance. But in the deep sea, appearance doesn't matter. There's no one to see you except your next meal or the thing trying to make you its meal. Anglerfish are perhaps the most iconic deep-sea predators, but the reality is stranger than the image. There are over 200 species of anglerfish, and the ones with the glowing lures, the esker, are all female. Males are tiny, often 1/10 the size, and in some species, the male's entire existence revolves around finding a female and fusing to her body. Permanently. His circulatory system merges with hers. His organs atrophy until he's essentially a sperm-producing appendage, a parasitic mate providing genetic material in exchange for nutrients. Some females carry multiple males attached to their bodies, a living reproductive strategy so extreme it defied belief until specimens confirmed it. The female's esker contains bioluminescent bacteria, genus Photobacterium, living in a specialized pore. The bacteria glow continuously, and the anglerfish controls visibility by expanding or contracting skin around the esker, effectively turning the light on and off. Different anglerfish species host different bacterial strains, unique to each species, a symbiotic partnership millions of years old. The lure dangles above. The anglerfish's enormous mouth, which can open wide enough to swallow fish twice the anglerfish's size. The stomach expands to accommodate the meal because in the deep sea, you never know when the next opportunity will come. Some anglerfish specimens have been found with prey so large the anglerfish died trying to digest it. Mouth permanently stretched, stomach ruptured, a testament to the desperation of survival at depth. In 2024, ocean census expeditions documented 866 new marine species across depths from 1 meter to 4,990 meters. The list includes a new guitar shark, Rhinobatos species, discovered at 200 meters depth off Mozambique and Tanzania, only the 38th known guitar shark species, part of one of the ocean's most threatened vertebrate groups. A pygmy pipe horse, 4 centimeters long, found off South Africa's Indian Ocean coast, a master of camouflage related to seahorses and sea dragons. Deep-sea sponges with carnivorous feeding strategies, dubbed death ball sponges, discovered in the Southern Ocean. A predatory gastropod, Turridrupa magnifica, from New Caledonia and Vanuatu, equipped with venomous harpoon-like teeth that inject toxins into prey. Compounds from related species have already contributed to chronic pain treatments and show promise for cancer therapies. Scientists exploring the Jottle vent field in the Arctic, at depths of 2,461 meters, found a threadfin snailfish with whisker-like barbels that detect movement in pitch-black water, and hairy decapod shrimp at 3,000 meters, whose hairs are actually bacteria converting toxic hydrogen sulfide from the hydrothermal vents into energy. These discoveries came from just 10 expeditions over 16 months, conducted by the Nippon Foundation Nekton Ocean Census, a collaboration aiming to find 100,000 new marine species in a decade. We're finding hundreds. There are likely millions still out there. Hydrothermal vents create entire ecosystems in total. Darkness. Superheated water, exceeding 300 degrees Celsius, erupts from cracks in the seafloor where tectonic plates meet, carrying dissolved minerals and chemicals from Earth's mantle. Bacteria at the vents perform chemosynthesis, using hydrogen sulfide and methane to produce organic compounds, forming the base of a food web that includes tube worms, clams, mussels, crabs, shrimp, and fish. Giant tube worms, Riftia pachyptila, grow up to 8 feet long, with no mouth, no gut, just a plume of red gills that absorb chemicals. Inside their bodies, symbiotic bacteria convert those chemicals into nutrients, feeding the worm. these animals can live for over 250 years, anchored in place, thriving in conditions that would sterilize most life. Vent communities exist in patches across mid-ocean ridges, isolated by hundreds of kilometers of barren seafloor. Each vent system evolves its own specialized species, leading to high endemism. A species found at one vent may exist nowhere else on Earth. When vents shut down, geological shifts close the fissures, entire ecosystems vanish. In January 2024, a different kind of discovery occurred when iceberg A84 split from Antarctica's George VI ice shelf, exposing seafloor that had been covered by 500 feet of ice for potentially thousands of years. Researchers aboard Schmidt Ocean Institute's Falkor 2 became the first to study the newly revealed environment during a February expedition to the Bellingshausen Sea. They documented 30 new species, including iridescent scale worms, isopods, sponges and corals thriving beneath where the ice had been. The find challenges assumptions about life under ice shelves and highlights how much remains unknown even in regions we thought were inaccessible. As climate change accelerates ice loss, these discoveries become time-sensitive. The species may have adaptations to ice-covered darkness that could inform our understanding of life in extreme conditions. But they also face rapid environmental shifts as light and temperature change with the ice gone. The Mariana Trench, the deepest place on Earth, has been visited by only 4 manned expeditions: Jacques Picard and Don Walsh in 1960, James Cameron in 2012, Victor Vescovo's 5 Deeps expedition in 2019, and additional dives since. Unmanned submersibles and ROVs do most of the work, but even they face challenges. In 2014, the hybrid ROV Nereus imploded at 9,990 meters in the Kermadec Trench, crushed by the pressure it was designed to withstand. The loss highlighted the risks of deep-sea exploration and the engineering limits we're still pushing. Yet the trench isn't empty. Amphipods, snailfish, sea cucumbers, xenophyophores, giant single-celled organisms that can grow to 4 inches across, some of the largest single cells on Earth, crawling across the trench floor. Plastic bags, candy wrappers. Evidence of human pollution has been found at 11,000 meters, deeper than any place on the planet. We've reached the bottom with our waste before we've fully explored it with our science. The deep ocean hosts creatures that challenge our understanding of biology. The barrel-eye fish, Macropinna microstoma, has a transparent head. Its eyes are tubular, pointing upward inside a fluid-filled dome, allowing it to see prey silhouetted against faint surface light while remaining protected. When it needs to eat, the eyes rotate forward to track the food as it moves its mouth to bite. The gulper eel, Eurypharynx pelecanoides, has a mouth larger than its body, capable of unfolding like a pelican's pouch to engulf prey much bigger than itself. Its stomach stretches to accommodate the meal, and its tail tapers into a thin whip-like structure, ending in a bioluminescent lure. The snipe eel, Nemicthys scolopaceus, grows up to 5 feet, long with needle-thin jaws that never fully close, lined with backward-curving teeth designed to trap small crustaceans. Its body is ribbon-like, almost boneless, drifting through the water column as it sweeps its jaws through clouds of plankton. Glass squid, family Cranchidae, are nearly transparent except for their eyes and digestive organs, making them invisible in open water. They use ammonia solutions inside their bodies for buoyancy, floating effortlessly without the need for swim bladders or constant motion. Some species have been observed at depths exceeding 2,000 meters, hanging motionless in the current, waiting for food to drift within reach of their tentacles. The cockatoo squid Liachia species has large eyes and pigment-filled chromatophores that look like polka dots, providing camouflage by breaking up its outline in the dim light. When threatened, it jets away in short bursts, then freezes, becoming nearly undetectable. The Dumbo octopus, genus Grimpoteuthis, named for the ear-like fins protruding from its head, lives at depths up to 7,000 meters. It flaps those fins to glide gracefully across the seafloor, searching for worms, crustaceans, and other invertebrates. Its body is soft, gelatinous, adapted to extreme pressure, with no rigid structures to shatter. Multiple species exist, each named for the region where they're found, and new species are still being discovered. One specimen collected from over 4,000 meters in the North Pacific had a stomach full of tiny amphipods, suggesting it feeds opportunistically on whatever it encounters in an environment where every meal counts. The Greenland shark, Somniosus microcephalus, holds the record as the longest-lived vertebrate on Earth. Radiocarbon dating of eye lens proteins from deceased specimens indicates they can live for 400 years or more. One female, estimated at 392 years old, was still sexually immature, suggesting these sharks don't reproduce until they're over 150 years old. They inhabit cold Arctic and North Atlantic waters, diving to depths exceeding 2,000 meters, moving slowly to conserve energy in an environment where food is scarce and temperatures hover near freezing. They feed on fish, seals, squid, and carrion, using their slow, methodical approach to ambush prey that underestimates their speed. Their flesh contains high concentrations of trimethylamine oxide, making it toxic to humans unless properly processed. Parasitic copepods often attach to their eyes, dangling like grotesque ornaments, possibly providing bioluminescent lures that attract prey. The sharks tolerate the parasites, gaining a hunting advantage from the unwanted guests. Six-gill sharks, Hexanchus griseus, are another deep-sea giant, reaching lengths of 16 feet and weights exceeding half a ton. They dive to depths of 2,500 meters, one of the deepest-ranging shark species. 6 gill slits instead of 5 give them their name and distinguish them from most other sharks. They're ambush predators with powerful jaws and multiple rows of saw-like teeth, capable of taking down seals, large fish, and other sharks. Fossil records show 6-gill sharks have remained virtually unchanged for 200 million years, a testament to their evolutionary success. They're considered living fossils, apex predators that survived mass extinctions, climate shifts, and the rise and fall of entire ecosystems. The Pacific sleeper shark, Somniosus pacificus, is the Greenland shark's cousin, living in the North Pacific at similar depths and temperatures. It grows to 23 feet long and displays similarly slow movement and long lifespan, though exact ages haven't been confirmed. Stomach contents analysis reveals they eat fish, octopus, and marine mammals, including seals and sea lions, suggesting they're capable of surprising bursts of speed despite their sluggish reputation. Researchers have observed bite marks on surfaced whales that match sleeper shark, teeth patterns indicating these sharks scavenge on dead or dying whales and may even attack living ones. Jellyfish dominate the deep in ways most people don't realize. The lion's main jellyfish, Cyanea capillata, is the longest animal on Earth, with tentacles extending over 120 feet in the largest specimens. They drift through cold northern waters, trailing those tentacles like a living net, stinging and capturing fish and zooplankton. The tentacles contain nematocysts, spring-loaded stinging cells that fire harpoon-like barbs injecting venom. Each tentacle has thousands of nematocysts, and contact with just a few can cause severe pain in humans. For small fish and invertebrates, contact means paralysis and death. Siphonophores are colonial organisms, each individual a specialized polyp performing a specific function: feeding, reproduction, locomotion, or defense, all linked together to function as one creature. Priodubia, found in deep Atlantic waters, forms chains up to 160 feet long, making it one of the longest animals ever recorded. It drifts vertically through the water column, trailing stinging tentacles that capture prey. Because it's a colony, if part of it is damaged or eaten, the rest continues functioning. It's nearly impossible to kill by conventional predation because there's no single, vital organ. Each polyp can regenerate lost sections, and the colony persists as long as enough individuals survive. The Portuguese man-o'-war, Physalia physalis, often mistaken for a jellyfish, is actually a siphonophore, a colony of specialized polyps under a gas-filled float. It drifts on the surface, trailing tentacles up to 165 feet below, stinging fish and occasionally humans who swim into them. The venom is powerful enough to kill fish instantly and causes excruciating pain in humans, sometimes leading to shock and drowning. Despite floating on the surface, the man-o'-war is often grouped with deep sea creatures because its tentacles reach into mesopelagic depths, bridging the sunlight and twilight zones. Comb jellies, or ctenophores, are not jellyfish despite the name. They're gelatinous predators that use rows of beating cilia, hair-like structures, to move through the water, creating rainbow light effects as the cilia refract light. They're among the oldest animal lineages on Earth, possibly predating the Cambrian explosion 540 million years ago. Some deep-sea comb jellies produce bioluminescence, flashing when disturbed to startle predators. Others are transparent, nearly invisible, drifting through the water like living glass. They feed on plankton, small fish, and even other comb jellies, using sticky cells instead of stinging cells to capture prey. Sea cucumbers are critical to deep-sea ecosystems, processing organic matter on the seafloor and recycling nutrients. Some species are found at depths exceeding 8,000 meters in Hadal trenches, crawling across the sediment, ingesting mud and extracting any remaining organic material. They're slow-moving, defenseless-looking creatures, but some have evolved toxic skin compounds or the ability to eviscerate themselves, expelling their internal organs to distract predators, then regenerating the lost organs over weeks or months. One species, Insomniacs eximia, is nicknamed the headless chicken monster because of its bizarre appearance and swimming. See style. It flaps wing-like appendages and tumbles through the water column, an image that seems like a joke until you see footage of it moving, surreal and oddly mesmerizing. Starfish in the deep sea grow enormous. Fraiella benthophila, a deep-sea starfish found below 3,000 meters, has arms spanning up to 4 feet across. It crawls along the seafloor on tube feet, feeding on organic matter and small invertebrates. Its body is soft, flexible, allowing it to navigate rough terrain and reach into crevices. Some deep-sea starfish are predators, prying open bivalve shells and everting their stomachs into the shell to digest the inhabitant externally, before retracting the stomach and absorbing the nutrients. Brittle stars are related to starfish but move differently, using long, flexible arms to pull themselves across the substrate. In some deep-sea regions, brittle stars cover the seafloor in such density that the bottom appears to writhe. They feed on detritus, plankton, and small animals, using their arms to sweep food toward their mouths. Some species are bioluminescent, flashing green or blue when touched, possibly to deter predators or attract larger animals that might eat whatever's attacking them. Sea spiders, pycnogonids, are not true spiders, but arthropods, with multiple pairs of long, spindly legs and a small body. Deep-sea species can have leg spans exceeding 18 inches, walking across the seafloor like alien machines. They feed on soft-bodied invertebrates, using a proboscis to suck fluids from their prey. Their internal organs extend into their legs because their body is too small to contain everything. They move slowly, methodically, in a world where speed is less important than endurance. Crabs and lobsters also inhabit the deep, with some species showing gigantism. The giant spider crab, Macrochera caempheri, found in waters off Japan at depths up to 600 meters, has a leg span up to 12 feet, making it the largest arthropod by leg span. Despite its size, it's a scavenger, feeding on dead animals and plant matter. Its long legs allow it to walk across soft sediment without sinking, and it uses its claws to tear apart carcasses. Females carry thousands of eggs, brooding them for months before releasing larvae into the water column. Squat lobsters, anomerans related to hermit crabs, are common in deep-sea environments, particularly near hydrothermal vents and cold seeps. They cluster in high densities around vents, feeding on bacteria and organic matter. Some species are blind, their eyes reduced to non-functional stubs, having lost the need for vision in an environment with no light. They navigate by touch and chemical sensing, detecting gradients of hydrogen sulfide and methane that signal vent activity. Yeti crabs, Kiwa species, are squat lobsters covered in blonde setae, hair-like structures that house bacteria. The bacteria feed on chemicals from the vents, and the crabs harvest the bacteria, either eating them directly or absorbing nutrients they produce. The crabs wave their claws in the vent flow, cultivating their bacterial gardens. A symbiosis discovered only in 25, when the first Yeti crab was found on the Pacific Antarctic ridge. Additional species have been discovered near vents worldwide, each with slight variations in cetal coverage and bacterial types. Isopods, crustaceans related to pillbugs, grow to shocking sizes in the deep sea. The giant isopod, Bathynomus giganteus, can reach 16 inches long and weigh over 3 pounds, 1,000 times heavier than its terrestrial relatives. It scavenges on the seafloor, feeding on dead whales, fish, squid, and any organic matter that reaches the bottom. Its body is heavily armored with overlapping plates, and it has powerful mandibles capable of tearing tough flesh. When food is scarce, giant isopods can survive for years without eating, entering a state of dormancy where their metabolism slows to near zero. One captive giant isopod in Japan survived 5 years without food before dying, a record that highlights their extreme adaptation to food scarcity. Fish in the deep sea display morphologies that defy surface logic. The barreleye, stoplight loosejaw, gulper eel, and snipe eel have already been mentioned, but there are hundreds more. The viperfish, Choliodus species, has teeth so long they don't fit inside its mouth. Instead, they curve backward, and the fish uses them to impale prey that tries to escape. Its jaw can unhinge, allowing it to swallow fish larger than its head. Photophores line its body, and it uses them to lure prey or communicate with others of its kind. Viperfish migrate vertically each night, rising from depths exceeding 1,000 meters to hunt in shallower waters, then descending before dawn, a daily journey covering more distance than most people walk in a week. The hatchetfish, Argyropellicus species, has a flattened, silvery body shaped like a hatchet blade. Photophores on its underside produce light that matches the intensity and color of surface light filtering through the water, making it invisible from below. Its eyes are tubular, pointing upward, searching for prey silhouetted against the dim glow above. It's a small fish, rarely exceeding 4 inches, but it's one of the most successful deep-sea residents found in oceans worldwide. The fangtooth, already mentioned for its ultra-black skin, also holds the record for the largest teeth relative to body size of any fish. Its teeth are so large that the fish has special sockets in its skull to accommodate them when the mouth closes. Juvenile fangtooth look completely different from adults, with different body shapes and no fangs, leading scientists to initially classify them as separate species. Only later did they realize juveniles and adults were the same animal undergoing extreme morphological changes as they matured. The swordfish, Xiphias gladius, is not a deep-sea specialist, but it dives to depths exceeding 2,000 meters during feeding runs, hunting for squid and fish in the mesopelagic zone. It generates heat in specialized muscles near its brain and eyes, keeping them warm even in cold, deep water, which enhances vision and reaction time. This ability to maintain function in varying temperatures allows swordfish to exploit prey at depths most surface fish can't reach. Oarfish Regalicus glezen are the longest bony fish on Earth, reaching lengths up to 36 feet, though most are smaller. They live in the mesopelagic zone, swimming vertically through the water column with undulating movements of their long dorsal fin. They feed on plankton and small fish, filtering water through their gills. Sightings are rare because they rarely come to the surface, but when they do, often before death or due to ocean disturbances, they've inspired sea serpent legends for centuries. Their ribbon-like bodies, bright silver coloring, and horse-like heads made them seem mythical until photography confirmed their existence. If you value documented deep-sea biology and extreme animal adaptations like this, subscribe. Comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from the Smithsonian Ocean Species Census, PLOS genetic studies on Hadal snailfish genomes published in 2021, and Embari's vampire squid research spanning 20 years of ROV observations, published in Proceedings of the Royal Society B in 2012. These aren't stories. They're living animals, documented, measured, studied, and often filmed in their natural habitats by research teams spending months at sea, descending into conditions that would kill us in seconds. Now back to the information. The ocean's giants aren't limited to invertebrates. Cetaceans, whales, dolphins, and porpoises are the ultimate oceanic mammals, and several species dive to extreme depths. Sperm whales, Physeter macrocephalus, are the deepest diving mammals, reaching depths of 2,992 meters, confirmed by pressure recording tags. They hunt giant squid, colossal squid, fish, and octopuses at those depths, holding their breath for up to 90 minutes. Their spermaceti organ, a massive structure filled with waxy oil in their heads, is thought to aid in buoyancy control and possibly echolocation. Sperm whales produce the loudest sounds. Of any animal, echolocation clicks exceeding 230 decibels, powerful enough to stun prey. The sound waves can be felt as vibrations by divers nearby, and prolonged exposure could damage human tissue. Cuvier's beaked whale, Ziphius cavirostris, holds the record for the longest and deepest dives among mammals. A tagged whale in 2014 dove to 2,992 meters and stayed submerged for 2 hours and 18 minutes. They feed on deep-sea squid and fish, using echolocation to hunt in complete darkness. Their skulls are dense, heavily reinforced, possibly an adaptation to pressure or for male combat. Males have scarring consistent with tusk wounds from other males, suggesting intense competition for mates. Elephant seals, Mirunga species, dive repeatedly to depths exceeding 1,500 meters, spending more time underwater than at the surface during foraging trips that can last months. They feed on squid, fish, and rays, using their large eyes and sensitive whiskers to detect prey in low light. When they surface, they breathe rapidly, replenishing oxygen stores, then dive again within minutes. Their blood has high concentrations of hemoglobin and myoglobin, proteins that store oxygen, allowing them to remain submerged far longer than most mammals their size. Blue whales, Balanoptera musculus, are the largest animals ever to exist on Earth, exceeding any dinosaur. Adults reach lengths of 100 feet and weights of 200 tons. They feed by filter feeding on krill, engulfing massive mouthfuls of water and straining out tiny crustaceans through baleen plates. They dive to depths of 500 meters during feeding, targeting dense krill swarms. Despite their size, blue whales are agile swimmers, capable of accelerating rapidly to capture concentrated prey. They were hunted to near extinction during 20th century whaling, with populations dropping from 200,000 to fewer than 300 individuals in the Antarctic. Conservation efforts have allowed some recovery, but they remain endangered, vulnerable to ship strikes, entanglement in fishing gear, and climate change impacts on krill populations. The deep ocean is also home to unusual fish with bizarre reproductive strategies. In some anglerfish species, the male fuses to the female, as mentioned earlier, but the process is even stranger under a microscope. The male bites into the female's skin, and enzymes dissolve the tissues at the contact point, merging blood vessels. His body atrophies, eyes, fins, most organs, until only the testes remain functional. He becomes a sperm bank, completely dependent on the female for survival. Some females carry up to 8 males attached to their bodies. It's a reproductive strategy, born from the extreme difficulty of finding a mate in the vast, dark ocean. When you're a tiny male, drifting through billions of gallons of black water, the odds of encountering a female of your species are minuscule. Once you find one, you never let go. Cusk eels, family Ophidiidae, are found at extreme depths, with Abyssobrochula galathea holding the depth record for bony fish before snailfish broke it. A specimen was trawled from 8,300 meters in the Puerto Rico Trench in 1970. Cusk eels aren't true eels, they're perciform fish with elongated bodies. Many deep-sea species are blind or have reduced eyes, relying on sensory pores on their heads to detect vibrations and chemical signals. Their skeletons are reinforced with extra ossification, adding bone density to resist crushing pressure. They feed on amphipods, copepods, and detritus, opportunistic scavengers, adapted to a world where meals are rare and unpredictable. Grenadiers or rattails, family Macroridae, are one of the most successful deep-sea fish families, with over 300 species. They have large heads, tapering bodies ending in rat-like tails, and live on or near the seafloor at depths from 200 to 7,000 meters. They're scavengers and predators, feeding on fish, squid, crustaceans, and carrion. Grenadiers produce sound by vibrating their swim bladders, possibly for communication or echolocation. Their eyes are relatively large for deep-sea fish, suggesting they hunt in areas with some residual light or bioluminescence. Some species show evidence of vertical migration, rising at night to feed in shallower water. Chimeras, or ghost sharks, are cartilaginous fish related to sharks and rays, but split from that lineage 390 million years ago. They inhabit deep, cold waters worldwide, feeding on mollusks, crustaceans, and worms, detected with electroreceptors called ampullae of Lorenzini. Chimeras have a venomous spine on their dorsal fin, used for defense. Males possess retractable sexual appendages on their foreheads, called frontal tenaculae, used to grasp females during mating. Their biology is poorly understood because they're difficult to observe and even harder to keep alive in captivity. Goblin sharks, Mitsukurina ostoni, are living fossils, the sole surviving member of a family dating back 125 million years. They have elongated, flattened snouts covered in electroreceptors and jaws that can protrude forward rapidly to snap up prey. They live at depths between 300 and 1,300 meters, hunting fish and squid. Their pinkish color comes from blood vessels visible through translucent skin, and their small eyes suggest limited vision, relying instead on electroreception. Goblin sharks are rarely encountered, but specimens are caught occasionally in deep-sea trawls or washed up on beaches after storms. Frilled sharks, Chlamydocelicus anguineus, look like something from the age of dinosaurs. With elongated eel-like bodies and 6 rows of frilly gills, they inhabit deep waters from 150 to 1,500 meters, hunting fish and squid with mouths full of needle-sharp teeth. They're ambush predators, coiling their bodies and striking like a snake when prey comes within range. Pregnant females carry embryos for up to 3.5 years, one of the longest gestation periods of any vertebrate. The slow reproduction makes them vulnerable to overfishing, and populations are declining in areas with heavy deep-sea trawling. The deep sea also hosts bony fish, so rare we've seen them only a handful of times. The barrelized transparent head remains one of the strangest adaptations ever documented. First described in 1939 from a dead specimen, it wasn't until 2004 that Embark researchers filmed a living barreleye, revealing its eyes could rotate. The initial assumption was that the eyes pointed upward only, fixed in place. Footage showed otherwise. The fish could track prey above it, then rotate its eyes forward to watch as it moved its mouth into position. The discovery fundamentally changed our understanding of the species and highlighted how little we know, even about animals we've technically known for decades. In waters off Chile's coast, researchers aboard Schmidt Ocean Institute's Falkor 2 in January 2024 documented over 100 new species during a month-long expedition targeting seamounts along the Salas y Gomez Ridge, a 2,900 square kilometer stretch of underwater mountains created by volcanic activity. They found deep-sea corals, glass sponges, sea urchins, squids, fish, mollusks, crabs, starfish and squat lobsters in a marine-protected area the size of Italy. About half the animals in the region are endemic, found nowhere else on Earth. The team also discovered 4 new seamounts using underwater mapping technology, recording 52,000 square kilometers of ocean floor. Dr. Javier Celanes from Universidad Católica del Norte, who led the expedition, said the results far exceeded hopes, with the sponge diversity alone being mind-blowing. These expeditions highlight how exploration continues to reveal entire communities we didn't know existed, often in areas we thought were well mapped. Coral reefs in the deep sea differ dramatically from tropical reefs. Cold water corals like Lophelia pertusa build massive reef structures at depths exceeding 1,000 meters in frigid temperatures near 2 degrees Celsius. They don't have symbiotic algae like shallow corals. There's no light for photosynthesis, so they feed by capturing plankton and organic particles from currents. These reefs can be thousands of years old, growing slowly, millimeters per year. They provide critical habitat for fish, crustaceans, and invertebrates, acting as biodiversity hotspots in otherwise barren environments. But they're fragile. Bottom trawling, dragging weighted nets across the seafloor to catch fish, destroys these reefs in seconds, taking out structures that took millennia to form. It's the marine equivalent of clear-cutting ancient forests. Black corals, order Antipatharia, are another deep-sea group, named for their dark skeletons. They're used in jewelry, which has driven over-harvesting in some regions. Black corals grow even slower than cold-water corals, with some specimens radiocarbon dated to over 4,000 years old, making them among the oldest living organisms on Earth. They provide habitat and hunting grounds for fish and invertebrates, but their slow growth means populations can't recover from damage within human timescales. Once harvested or destroyed, they're effectively gone. Sea pens, Penatulacea, are colonial sea cnidarians that look like feathers planted in the sediment. They're common in deep-sea soft-bottom habitats, capturing plankton with polyps lining their branches. Some species are bioluminescent, glowing when disturbed, possibly to deter predators. They can retract into the sediment when threatened, disappearing completely. Their colonies can exceed 3 feet tall, but they're delicate, easily damaged by trawling or anchoring. Bamboo corals, family Isididae, are found at depths up to 2,000 meters, building branching structures that sway in currents. Their skeletons alternate between calcified segments and flexible organic joints, giving them a bamboo-like appearance. They're incredibly long-lived, some exceed 200 years, and provide habitat for brittle stars, shrimp, and fish. Bamboo corals are sometimes harvested for the jewelry trade, and slow growth makes them vulnerable to over-harvesting. Sponges dominate parts of the deep-sea benthos. Glass sponges, Hexactinellida, have skeletons made of silica, forming delicate lattice structures. Some grow into massive shapes, exceeding 3 feet tall, living for hundreds of years. They filter water through their bodies, extracting bacteria and organic particles. Glass sponge reefs, once thought extinct, were rediscovered off British Columbia in 1987, forming structures up to 62 feet tall, covering thousands of acres. These reefs are among the oldest living structures on Earth, some exceeding 9,000 years old. Carnivorous sponges, Cladohisidae, are predators, a bizarre deviation from the typical sponge lifestyle. They lack the water filtering system of most sponges, instead using hook-covered filaments to snare small crustaceans and worms. Once trapped, the prey is enveloped and slowly digested. The deathball sponge discovered in the Southern Ocean in 2025 is one example, a species that looks like a spiky sphere, each spike tipped with hooks. It's a passive predator, waiting for prey to blunder into its trap, then absorbing nutrients through direct contact. Microbial life in the deep sea rivals all larger organisms combined. Bacteria and archaea inhabit sediments, hydrothermal vents, cold seeps, and even subsurface rocks, performing geochemical processes critical to Earth's systems. In Hadal trenches, microbial communities dominate sediments, breaking down organic matter and cycling nutrients. They're adapted to extreme pressure, cold, and sometimes anoxic conditions, using metabolic pathways rarely seen elsewhere. Some produce methane, others consume it. Some reduce sulfate, producing hydrogen, sulfide, the smell of rotten eggs, which fuels chemosynthetic ecosystems at vents and seeps. The deep ocean's microbial life remains one of the least understood components of the biosphere, yet it performs functions that make surface life possible, recycling elements, decomposing waste, and supporting food webs. The deep sea is often described as an alien world, and in many ways, it is. The conditions are more hostile than the surface of Mars. There's no air, crushing pressure, freezing temperatures, no light, and almost no food. Yet life persists, thrives, diversifies. Extreme adaptations aren't exceptions, they're the norm. Animals have evolved solutions to problems we're only beginning to understand, using biochemistry, morphology, and behavior refined over millions of years. Every expedition, every dive, every hour of footage reveals something unexpected. Species we thought were myths turn out to be real. Animals we thought we understood display behaviors we never predicted. Ecosystems we didn't know existed support communities more diverse than tropical reefs. But the deep sea is under threat. Climate change is altering ocean chemistry, temperature and circulation patterns. Deoxygenation, expansion of oxygen minimum zones, puts pressure on species already adapted to low oxygen, potentially pushing them past survival thresholds. Ocean acidification from increased carbon dioxide absorption affects calcifying organisms like corals and mollusks. Deep-sea mining threatens hydrothermal vent communities and abyssal plains, targeting minerals and rare earth elements. The technology to mine at those depths is advancing faster than our understanding of what we'll destroy. Once a vent community is scraped away, it's gone. Those animals, adapted over millions of years to specific chemical profiles and geological features, can't relocate. They evolved in place. Without that place, they don't exist. Commercial fishing impacts the deep sea through bottom trawling, which drags weighted nets across the seafloor, catching target species but destroying habitat in the process. Bycatch, unintended catch, includes slow-growing, long-lived species like deep-sea sharks, rays, corals, and sponges that can't recover from industrial-scale harvesting. Some deep-sea fish species like orange ruffy can live over 100 years and don't reproduce until they're 20 to 30 years old. When fisheries target them, populations collapse within years, and recovery takes decades if it happens at all. Plastic pollution reaches the deepest trenches. Microplastics, particles smaller than 5 millimeters, have been found in sediment samples from 11,000 meters depth. Animals ingest them, mistaking them for food, and the particles accumulate in tissues, potentially causing harm we're only beginning to measure. Chemical pollutants, heavy metals, and persistent organic compounds settle in deep-sea sediments, where they persist for centuries, entering food webs through scavenging animals and filter feeders. Climate change also disrupts the biological carbon pump. Vertical migrators, fish, squid, crustaceans that rise to feed at night and descend to depth during the day, transport carbon from surface to deep waters. If warming waters alter their behavior, or if species compositions shift, the efficiency of carbon sequestration decreases, accelerating atmospheric carbon buildup. The deep ocean stores more carbon than all terrestrial ecosystems combined, sequestered in sediments, dissolved in seawater, and locked in the tissues of organisms. Disruptions to deep-sea processes have surface consequences: rising temperatures, more severe weather, changing ocean currents that influence global climate. Research is accelerating, but so are the threats. The Ocean Census Program aims to discover 100,000 new species in 10 years, combining genetic sequencing, environmental DNA sampling, and real-time imaging to speed up the identification process. But technology can't replace the slow, careful work of taxonomy, describing, classifying, and understanding new species. Some specimens collected decades ago still await formal description because there aren't enough experts to process them. Marine biology has fewer taxonomists now than 50 years ago, even as we discover species faster than ever. It's a bottleneck that slows conservation efforts because you can't protect what you haven't named. The deep sea is also a source of potential medical breakthroughs. Compounds from deep-sea organisms have led to treatments for chronic pain, cancer, and bacterial infections. Cone snail venom from shallow water species already provides the basis for a painkiller 1,000 times more potent than morphine, with fewer side effects. Deep-sea predatory gastropods like Turridrupa magnifica may harbor similar compounds. Bioactive chemicals from sponges, corals, and bacteria show antibacterial, antiviral, and anti-inflammatory properties. The deep sea is a pharmaceutical frontier, holding solutions to medical problems we haven't solved yet, but only if we preserve it long enough to study it. Exploration continues, driven by curiosity, necessity, and the realization that the deep sea is not separate from human concerns. It's integral to Earth's functioning. Every breath you take is partially due to oxygen produced by marine phytoplankton. Every stable climate pattern relies on ocean circulation, regulated in part by deep water currents. Every ecosystem on the planet is connected through biogeochemical cycles that include the deep sea as a critical component. Understanding the deep ocean means understanding our own survival. Let's return to specifics because that's where the truth lives. In the Arctic's Jotl vent field, at depths of 30-53 meters, a deep-sea limpet, Cocculina species, thrives in extreme conditions, near freezing water, high acidity from vent chemistry, and pressure exceeding 300 atmospheres. Its shell is thick, reinforced, protecting it from the harsh environment while it grazes on bacterial mats covering vent structures. Limpets at these vents face temperature gradients from near freezing to over 300 degrees Celsius within meters, navigating carefully to stay in zones where they can survive. Too close to the vent, they'd cook. Too far, they'd starve as bacterial mats thin out. Their existence depends on precise positioning in one of Earth's most hostile habitats. Sea stars in the Hadal zone, like Tylester species found at Jotl, play crucial roles as scavengers, recycling nutrients and breaking down organic matter. They move slowly across the seafloor, extending stomach tissues out of their mouths to digest food externally, then retracting the stomach once the meal is consumed. In nutrient-poor deep-sea environments, every scrap counts, and sea stars ensure nothing is wasted. Turrid gastropods, over 100 new species discovered recently in waters near New Caledonia and Vanuatu, represent a hyper-diverse group of venomous marine snails. They use radula teeth, tiny harpoons, to inject toxins into prey, typically worms or other mollusks. Each species evolved slightly different venom cocktails, fine-tuned to their specific prey and predators. Studying these venoms reveals not only evolutionary innovation, but potential medical applications. Compounds that target specific neural receptors with high precision, offering possibilities for treating pain, neurological disorders, and even some cancers. The guitar shark, discovered off Mozambique and Tanzania at 200 meters depth, belongs to a family facing severe threats. Guitar sharks are flat-bodied, resembling rays but more closely related to sharks with wide heads and tapered bodies. They're slow-growing, late-maturing, and produce few offspring, making them vulnerable to fishing pressure. Many guitar shark populations have declined by over 80% in recent decades due to bycatch and targeted fishing for their fins and meat. The new species, only the 38th known, highlights how poorly we understand even relatively shallow water fauna, and how easily we could lose species before we've documented them. Pygmy pipe horses, relatives of seahorses, are masters of camouflage, blending into algae, seagrass, and coral. The 4-centimeter individual found off South Africa's coast is so small and well camouflaged that it was likely overlooked in previous surveys. Pipe horses and seahorses share similar reproductive strategies. Males brood eggs in pouches until they hatch, reversing typical parental roles. Studying these tiny specialists reveals insights into evolutionary adaptations for survival in competitive environments where being invisible is better than being fast. Bristlemouth fish, already mentioned as the most abundant vertebrates, are also among the smallest. Most species measure just a few centimeters long, yet their combined biomass exceeds that of all terrestrial vertebrates. They're the hidden majority of ocean life, critical players in the carbon cycle, consuming plankton near the surface at night, and transporting that carbon to depth when they descend and excrete waste or die. Without bristlemouths, the ocean's carbon sequestration efficiency would plummet, and atmospheric carbon dioxide levels would rise faster. Salps, gelatinous tunicates, are another group contributing to the biological carbon pump. They filter phytoplankton, growing rapidly, then producing dense fecal pellets that sink quickly, transporting carbon to the deep. Salps can form blooms, chains of individuals linked together, extending for meters. They reproduce both sexually and asexually, alternating between generations. allowing rapid population growth when conditions are favorable. Though often overlooked, salps are significant carbon cycle participants, moving carbon from surface to depth faster than most organisms. Pyrosomes are colonial tunicates, forming tube-shaped structures up to 18 feet long, though most are smaller. Each pyrosome is a colony of thousands of individuals, each filtering water, contributing to the colony's movement and bioluminescence. When disturbed, pyrosomes glow blue-green, lighting up like underwater light tubes. They've been observed in massive blooms, covering square miles of ocean, filtering vast quantities of plankton. After blooms collapse, dead pyrosomes sink, delivering concentrated carbon to the seafloor. Crustaceans of the deep show diversity beyond amphipods and isopods. Mysid shrimp, copepods, and ostracods occupy various niches, filtering plankton, scavenging detritus, or preying on smaller organisms. Copepods are among the most abundant animals on Earth, found in every ocean at every depth. Some species are bioluminescent, flashing when touched. Others are parasites, attaching to fish or jellyfish. Their diversity and abundance make them critical food sources for fish, whales, and seabirds. Despite their importance, most people have never seen a copepod because they're tiny, typically a few millimeters long and transparent. Ostracods are small crustaceans enclosed in bivalved shells, resembling tiny clams. Some deep-sea species produce bioluminescence, using it in mating displays or defense. Male ostracods of certain species create elaborate light patterns, spirals, or bursts to attract females. The displays are species-specific, preventing cross-species mating in an environment where visual identification is difficult. Studying these mating behaviors reveals how bioluminescence serves not just survival, but reproduction, one of the driving forces of evolution. Worms in the deep sea are incredibly diverse. Polychaete worms build tubes, burrow through sediment, or swim freely in the water column. Some are bioluminescent, others are toxic. Many are scavengers feeding on detritus. Certain species have symbiotic relationships with bacteria, hosting them in specialized organs and receiving nutrients in return. Scale worms, covered in overlapping protective scales, crawl across vent structures or live on deep-sea fish as commensals, neither helping nor harming their hosts. Iridescent scale worms discovered in the Southern Ocean in 2025 displayed rainbow coloring, not from pigment but from microscopic structures diffracting light, a structural coloration similar to butterfly wings. In a world of mostly dull colors, blacks, reds, browns, the iridescence stood out, likely serving a function we don't yet understand. Mollusks beyond squid and octopuses populate the deep sea. Deep-sea clams and mussels live at hydrothermal vents and cold seeps, hosting chemosynthetic bacteria in their gills. The bacteria fix carbon from chemicals in the vent fluids, producing organic compounds the mollusk absorbs. These partnerships allow the mollusks to thrive in areas without photosynthesis-derived food. Some vent mussels grow densely, covering vent chimneys in thick mats, creating habitat for other species. When vents shut down, the communities die, highlighting how dependent they are on active geological processes. Scaphopods, or tusk shells, are elongated mollusks buried in sediment with only their narrow shell tips exposed. They feed on foraminifera and other microscopic organisms extracted from sediment using tentacle-like captacula. Deep-sea species can be found to depths exceeding 5,000 meters, and in November 2025, a specimen of Levidentalium viesae collected from Hadal depths had a sea anemone attached to its shell, a relationship never before documented within that genus. It raises questions about symbiosis, commensalism, or parasitism in deep-sea communities, where every interaction might provide survival advantages. Sea anemones themselves are found at extreme depths, some exceeding 8,000 meters. They attach to rocks or shells, extending tentacles to capture prey drifting by. At deep vents, anemones live near the chemical-rich waters, feeding on small animals attracted to bacterial mats. Their red coloration, caused by diet-derived pigments or symbiotic bacteria, makes them stand out in footage. Anemones are simple anatomically. basically a mouth surrounded by tentacles and a gut, but they've existed for over 500 million years, proving that simplicity can be just as successful as complexity. Fish that use antifreeze proteins are common in polar seas and some deep-sea habitats. These proteins prevent ice crystals from forming in their blood and tissues, allowing them to survive in sub-zero water. Antarctic ice fish, Channicthidae, carry this to an extreme. They've lost hemoglobin entirely. Relying on dissolved oxygen in their blood is clear, and they have oversized hearts and blood vessels to compensate for reduced oxygen-carrying capacity. It's an evolutionary trade-off. No hemoglobin means no iron-based oxidation products that could cause damage in cold, oxygen-rich water, but it also means lower metabolic capacity. Ice fish are sluggish, relying on ambush tactics rather than pursuit. Cartilaginous fish, sharks, rays, and chimeras, lack bones, instead having skeletons made of cartilage, which is lighter and more flexible. This reduces weight, important for buoyancy in an environment where every energy-saving adaptation matters. Cartilage is also more resistant to pressure deformation, allowing these fish to dive deeper without skeletal collapse. Sharks have been around for over 400 million years, predating dinosaurs, trees, and flowering plants. Their success stems from efficient predation, adaptable physiology, and diverse ecological niches. Rays in the deep sea include skates, which lay eggs encased in tough cases called mermaids' purses. These cases attach to the seafloor, and embryos develop over months or even years before hatching. Electric rays, torpidinidae, can generate powerful electric shocks used for stunning prey or defense, with some species producing over 200 volts. Deep-sea species are less studied than shallow water relatives, but they display similar adaptations: flattened bodies, large pectoral fins for gliding over sediment, and electroreceptors for detecting buried prey. Marine reptiles are rare in the deep sea. Sea turtles dive to depths exceeding 1,000 meters, hunting jellyfish and squid, but they're air breathers, needing to surface regularly. Leatherback turtles, Dermochales coriacea, hold the record for the deepest turtle dive, reaching 1,200 meters, likely following jellyfish swarms. Their thick, oily skin insulates them in cold, deep water, and they have specialized adaptations to handle pressure changes during rapid ascents and descents. Sea snakes, primarily shallow water, have been recorded diving to over 200 meters, but they're not deep-sea specialists. True deep-sea reptiles went extinct with the mosasaurs and plesiosaurs 66 million years ago, leaving the deep ocean to fish, invertebrates, and mammals. Birds interact with the deep sea indirectly. Seabirds like albatrosses, petrels, and shearwaters feed on squid, fish, and krill near the surface, but their prey often comes from depths hundreds of meters down during vertical migrations. Emperor penguins dive to 500 meters, hunting fish and squid, holding their breath for over 20 minutes. They're the deepest diving birds, using their streamlined bodies and powerful flippers to fly underwater. Penguins' bones are solid, unlike flying birds with hollow bones, giving them negative buoyancy that aids diving. They store oxygen in their muscles using high concentrations of myoglobin, and they reduce heart rate during dives to conserve oxygen. Let's look at temperature. Deep sea water averages 1 to 4 degrees Celsius, near freezing but not frozen because salt lowers the freezing point. Hydrothermal vents disrupt this, spewing water exceeding 300 degrees Celsius. The temperature gradient near vents is extreme. Centimeters can mean the difference between boiling and freezing. Animals living near vents have adaptations to tolerate rapid temperature shifts. Pompeii worms, Alvinella pompejana, live on vent chimneys in some of the hottest environments on Earth for complex organisms, with their head end exposed to water exceeding 80 degrees Celsius, while their tail remains in cooler 40-degree water. They host symbiotic bacteria on their backs that may insulate them or provide nutrients, but the exact mechanisms of their heat tolerance remain under study. Cold seeps are another type of deep-sea ecosystem where methane or hydrogen sulfide seeps from sediments. Chemosynthetic bacteria at seeps form the base of food webs, supporting mussels, clams, tube worms, crabs, and fish. Seeps are often associated with hydrocarbon deposits, and some occur near oil or gas reserves. The ecosystems are similar to vent communities, but slower, more stable, sometimes persisting for thousands of years. Methane hydrates, ice-like structures of methane trapped in water molecules, can form in cold, high-pressure conditions at seeps. These hydrates represent massive carbon stores, and their destabilization due to warming oceans could release gigatons of methane, a potent greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere, accelerating climate change. Mud volcanoes on the seafloor erupt sediment, water, and gases from deep subsurface layers. They create localized disturbances, burying existing communities and exposing new substrate for colonization. Over time, mud volcano sites become biodiversity hotspots as species succession progresses, with pioneer species colonizing first, then being replaced by more complex communities. Studying these sites gives insight into ecological processes, how communities assemble, which species compete, and how disturbances shape biodiversity. Whale falls, dead whales sinking to the seafloor, are ephemeral but critical ecosystems. A single whale carcass provides food equivalent to thousands of years of normal carbon flux for a small area of seafloor. Scavengers like hagfish, sleeper sharks, and giant isopods arrive within hours, tearing into the blubber and soft tissues. As the carcass is consumed, bone-eating worms, osedacs, colonize the skeleton. These worms lack mouths and guts, instead hosting symbiotic bacteria in their tissues that break down bone collagen and lipids, providing nutrients. Osedacs females are large, males microscopic, living as parasites inside the females. Whalefall communities can last decades, providing stepping stones for species dispersing between vents and seeps. The carcass eventually degrades to bones, then sediment, but the chemical enrichment from decomposition persists for years. Woodfalls, sunken logs or trees, create similar ecosystems on a smaller scale. Wood-boring bivalves, shipworms, burrow into the wood, digesting cellulose with help from symbiotic bacteria. Gastropods, worms, and crustaceans colonize the decaying wood, feeding on bacteria and detritus. These falls provide habitat in otherwise barren areas and support species found nowhere else. Anthropogenic falls, sunken, ships, planes, cars, and other human debris also create habitat, though they introduce pollutants and non-native materials into the ecosystem. Metal structures corrode, leaching chemicals. Some organisms colonize them, forming artificial reefs, but others are harmed by toxic compounds. Shipwrecks from World Wars I and II contain oil and munitions that leak slowly, contaminating sediments. The long-term impacts are still being studied, but it's clear that human detritus alters deep-sea environments in ways that persist for decades or centuries. Let's talk about motion. Deep-sea currents are slow compared to surface currents, but they're persistent, moving water masses across entire ocean basins. Over years or decades, thermohaline circulation driven by temperature and salinity differences creates currents like the Atlantic meridional overturning circulation, which carries warm surface water north and cold deep water south. This circulation regulates global climate, transporting heat from the equator to the poles. If climate change disrupts thermohaline circulation, melting ice dilutes surface water, reducing salinity and density. Currents could slow or stop, triggering rapid climate shifts. Paleoclimate records show this has happened before, during the Younger Dryas period 12,800 years ago, when melting glaciers flooded the North Atlantic, shutting down circulation and plunging the Northern Hemisphere back into near-glacial conditions for over 1,000 years. Turbidity currents, underwater avalanches of sediment, carve submarine canyons and deposit thick layers of material on abyssal plains. These currents can travel at speeds exceeding 50 kilometers per hour, carrying millions of tons of sediment. They're triggered by earthquakes, storms, or sediment overload on continental shelves. When they stop, the sediment settles, burying everything beneath meters of mud. Communities buried by turbidity currents are smothered, creating local extinction events. but over time, new communities colonize the freshly deposited sediment, and the cycle continues. Internal waves, not visible from the surface, occur within the water column when layers of different densities meet. These waves can be hundreds of meters tall, moving slowly but carrying enormous energy. They affect the distribution of nutrients, plankton, and animals, creating zones of high productivity where upwelling brings deep nutrients to shallower depths. Internal waves breaking on seamounts and ridges cause mixing that supports dense fish populations, making these features important fishing grounds. Seamounts, underwater mountains rising from the seafloor, are biodiversity hotspots. Currents flowing over seamounts create upwelling, concentrating nutrients and attracting fish, squid, and marine mammals. Coral and sponge communities grow on seamount slopes, providing habitat for thousands of species. Many seamounts host endemic species found nowhere else because the mountains act as isolated islands surrounded by deep water. But seamounts are targeted by fisheries using bottom trawling, which destroys centuries-old coral and sponge communities in minutes. Once destroyed, these communities may never recover within human timescales. Abyssal plains, vast flat regions of the deep ocean floor, cover more of Earth's surface than any other habitat. They're blanketed in soft sediment, clay and silt accumulating over millions of years. Life here is sparse compared to vents or seamounts, but it exists. Sea cucumbers, worms, and foraminifera crawl through sediment, extracting organic particles. Fish like grenadiers patrol the water just above the bottom, hunting amphipods and scavenging carcasses. The plains are monotonous, featureless, extending for thousands of kilometers, but they're critical as carbon sinks and habitat for species adapted to the most stable environment on Earth, unchanging temperature, salinity, and pressure for millions of years. Trenches, the deepest parts of the ocean, form at subduction zones where tectonic plates collide, one sliding beneath the other. The Mariana Trench, deepest of all, reaches 11,000 meters at Challenger Deep. Only 4 trenches exceed 10,000 meters, and the Hadal Zone, depths beyond 6,000 meters, is found only in trenches and a few deep troughs. Trenches are geologically dynamic, with earthquakes, landslides, and tectonic activity shaping the environment. Despite the harshness, they support specialized communities, as already discussed, with amphipods, snailfish, and other organisms thriving in conditions that would annihilate most life. Pollution reaches everywhere. Microplastics have been found in the Mariana Trench. Chemical pollutants accumulate in deep-sea fish tissues. Radionuclides from nuclear tests in the 1950s and 60s are detectable in deep-sea sediments. Heavy metals from industrial runoff settle in trenches, where they persist for millennia. The deep sea was once thought to be too remote for human impact, but we've proven otherwise. Our waste reaches the deepest points faster than our research does. So what happens next? Exploration continues. Technology improves. Autonomous underwater vehicles map previously unreachable areas. Deep-sea observatories monitor ecosystems over years, providing data on seasonal changes and long-term trends. Genetic sequencing allows identification of species from environmental DNA samples, speeding discovery. But the pace of threats accelerates faster. Climate change alters ocean chemistry and circulation within decades. Overfishing depletes stocks faster than they can recover. Mining proposals target hydrothermal vents and abyssal plains. We're racing against our own destructive capabilities, trying to understand what we're losing while simultaneously losing it. The deep sea holds answers to fundamental questions. How does life adapt to extremes? What are the limits of biochemistry? How do ecosystems function without sunlight? What medical compounds exist in venoms, toxins, and symbiotic bacteria? How does the ocean regulate climate? What's the true extent of biodiversity? These aren't academic curiosities. They're questions with implications for food security, medicine, climate stability, and our understanding of life itself. The deep sea is not a frontier to conquer. It's a library to read, a system to understand, a resource to protect. And we've only turned the first few pages. In 2024, the Ocean Census recorded 866 new species in 16 months. At that rate, They'll exceed 5,000 species by 2033, halfway to their 10-year goal. But for every species documented, how many disappear before we find them? Some populations, particularly around heavily fished seamounts and coral reefs, have declined over 80% since industrial fishing began. Deep-sea sharks with lifespans exceeding a century and reproductive rates measured in decades can't recover from sustained fishing pressure. Once their populations crash, they stay crashed. It's extinction in slow motion, and by the time we notice, it's too late to reverse. Here's a number that matters: 572 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the temperature of hydrothermal vent fluids measured at Arctic vents. Animals live meters away from water hot enough to melt lead. And here's another: 0.22 milliliters per liter. That's the oxygen level in Monterey Bay's oxygen minimum zone, where vampire squid thrive. Most fish would die in minutes. Vampire squid spend their entire lives there. And one more: 11,034 meters. The depth of Challenger Deep, measured by sonar in 2024. At that depth, a single square inch of surface experiences 8 tons of pressure. Amphipods crawl along the bottom like it's nothing. These numbers aren't abstractions, they're measurements of reality, proof that life doesn't just survive extremes, it colonizes them. In soil cores taken from Hadal trenches, scientists found thermophilic bacteria, heat-loving microbes typically found at vents, living in cold sediment 7,000 meters deep. The bacteria are dormant, waiting for the rare volcanic intrusion or hydrothermal pulse that could activate them. They've been waiting potentially millions of years, embedded in sediment layers dated to the Pliocene, an adaptation to geological timescales that dwarfs anything we consider long-term planning. Life at those depths operates on rhythms we can barely comprehend, generations measured in decades, evolutionary changes spanning millions of years, ecosystems shaped by geological processes that unfold over eons. Let's end where we should, with a discovery that reframes everything. In May 2025, in the South Sandwich Islands during an ocean census expedition, researchers deployed an ROV to examine volcanic calderas on the seafloor. At 2,600 meters depth, they found a field of spires, mineral chimneys built by extinct hydrothermal vents, some reaching 10 meters tall. No active venting, no heat, cold, dark, barren, rock. But on the spires, dense communities of glass sponges, black corals, and anemones. They weren't feeding on vent chemicals. They were filtering detritus, living on the structures left behind by vents that shut down decades or centuries earlier. The discovery shows that vent communities don't disappear when vents die. They transform, evolve, become something else. The skeletons of past life become substrate for new life. The deep sea is not static. It's a constantly shifting mosaic of creation and extinction, colonization and adaptation, life clinging to every surface where energy exists in any form. But there's more. Entire groups of extreme ocean animals we haven't properly covered yet. The mesopelagic zone, 200 to 1,000 meters deep, holds biomass that exceeds all fishing catches combined. It's the twilight zone, where faint light still penetrates, but photosynthesis becomes impossible. Animals here perform the largest daily migration on Earth, rising hundreds of meters each night to feed in plankton-rich surface waters, then descending before dawn to avoid predators. This diel vertical migration involves trillions of organisms, fish, squid, krill, jellyfish, salps, moving in synchronized patterns that show up on ship sonar as a deep scattering layer that rises and falls with the sun. The migration transports nutrients and carbon between zones, supporting both surface and deep ecosystems. Without it, ocean food webs would collapse. Hatchetfish in the mesopelagic possess bodies so thin they're nearly two-dimensional, compressed laterally like silver blades. This body plan, combined with photophores on their undersides, makes them invisible from below. They match the color and intensity of light filtering from above, erasing their silhouettes against the dim background. Their tubular eyes point upward, scanning for prey or predators outlined against surface glow. Different species occupy specific depth ranges, each tuned to particular light levels. As you descend through the mesopelagic, You encounter different hatchetfish species every 100 meters, each adapted to narrower and dimmer light conditions than the one above. It's stratification by light availability, creating ecological layers as distinct as forest canopy levels. Lanternfish, family Myctophidae, are the most abundant fish in the ocean by biomass, with an estimated 650 million tons worldwide, several times more than all human fishing catches annually. They're small, typically 10 to 15 centimeters long, covered in photophores arranged in species-specific patterns. Scientists can identify lanternfish species by their light patterns alone, like reading barcodes. The patterns serve as recognition signals, helping individuals find mates of their own species in the vast darkness. Lanternfish feed on copepods and krill, then are themselves eaten by larger fish, squid, seabirds, and marine mammals. They're a critical link in ocean food webs, transferring energy from plankton to apex predators. Commercial fishing for lanternfish has been proposed to supply fish meal for aquaculture, but scientists warn this could destabilize global ocean ecosystems by removing a foundational prey species. Dragonfishes, family Stomiidae, are apex predators of the mesopelagic, with over 270 species identified. They possess elongated bodies, hinged jaws that open wider than 90 degrees, and teeth so large they protrude outside closed mouths. Many species have a barbel, a long filament extending from their chin, tipped with a bioluminescent lure used to attract prey. The barbel can be longer than the fish's body, dangled in front of the mouth while the dragonfish hovers motionless, waiting for curious prey to investigate. When something touches the lure, the jaws snap shut in milliseconds, impaling the victim on rows of needle teeth. Stomach analysis shows dragonfishes eat fish, squid, and crustaceans up to half their own size, swallowed whole or torn apart by savage bites. Some dragonfishes produce red bioluminescence, already discussed, giving them an invisible spotlight to hunt prey that evolve defenses against blue light but remain blind to red. Snaggletooth fish, genus Borostomias, are dragonfishes with particularly grotesque dentition, fangs curving in multiple directions, some pointing backward, others sideways. The teeth mesh together when the mouth closes, forming a cage that prevents escape once prey is inside. Prey struggles only impales itself further. The fish's stomach is elastic, stretching to accommodate meals larger than the fish's unstretched profile. After a large meal, snaggletooths become visibly distended, swimming awkwardly until digestion progresses. But in an environment where meals are unpredictable, the ability to gorge when opportunity arises outweighs temporary clumsiness. Viperfish, already mentioned, deserve deeper examination. Cholioda species have the highest tooth-to-body size ratio of any fish. The fangs are so long, up to half the length of the skull, that they don't fit inside the mouth or skull. Instead, the skull has grooves behind the eyes where the teeth rest when the mouth closes, bringing the points dangerously close to the fish's own brain. It's an evolutionary trade-off. Massive teeth for maximum prey capture, at the cost of self-injury risk. Viperfish hunting tactics involve ambushing prey that wanders too close, striking with open jaws, then clamping down and using backward-curving teeth to prevent escape. The teeth are adapted from scales, representing an evolutionary repurposing of protective structures into offensive weapons. Saber-tooth fish, Coccarella species, also called saber-tooth viperfish despite being different families, have similar fang adaptations but shorter bodies. They hover motionless in the water column, nearly neutrally buoyant, waiting for prey. Their large eyes detect the faintest movements, and when prey is within striking range, they lunge forward, jaws opening to over 90 degrees, engulfing the target. Their stomachs expand to hold fish twice their resting body length, and specimens have been caught with prey still partially sticking out of their mouths, too large to swallow fully, but too valuable to release. Midwater octopuses, genus Japetella, can change their body transparency based on light levels. In bright light, they become opaque, dark red. In dim or no light, they turn transparent, internal organs barely visible. This chromatophore-controlled transformation happens in seconds, controlled by neural signals that respond to photoreceptors in the octopus's skin. The ability to modulate transparency based on ambient light gives them camouflage across different depths and times of day. They're ambush predators, drifting through the water column with arms spread, waiting for crustaceans or small fish to come within striking distance. Blanket octopuses, Tremoctopus species, display extreme sexual dimorphism. Females grow up to 2 meters long, males reach only 2.5 centimeters, a size difference of 40,000 times by mass. Males are among the smallest adult cephalopods, while females are among the largest octopuses. Females have long webbed membranes connecting their dorsal arms, forming a cape they spread when threatened to appear larger. These membranes are iridescent, refracting light into shifting colors that may startle predators. Blanket octopuses are immune to Portuguese man-o'-war venom and have been observed tearing off man-o'-war tentacles to wield as weapons, whipping stinging cells at attackers. The males, tiny and short-lived, exist solely to find females and mate, dying shortly after. They're one of nature's most extreme examples of reproductive specialization. Argonauts, or paper nautiluses, are pelagic octopuses where females secrete delicate, paper-thin shells for brooding eggs. The shells aren't true shells like nautilus shells. They're calcium carbonate secretions from specialized arms, not homologous to molluscan shells. Females drift near the surface, holding egg masses inside their protective cases. Males are shell-less and much smaller, similar to blanket octopuses. Argonauts are rarely seen alive, usually encountered when storms wash them ashore or fishing nets catch them accidentally. Their biology remains poorly understood because they're so difficult to observe in natural conditions. Nautiluses, living fossils from the class Cephalopoda, are the only cephalopods with external shells. They're found in tropical Indo-Pacific waters at depths from 1 to 700 meters, swimming by jet propulsion like squid, but using their chambered shells for buoyancy control. Gas-filled chambers in the shell can be adjusted by adding or removing liquid, allowing precise depth control. Nautiluses have dozens of tentacles without suckers, used to grab prey, fish, crustaceans, and carrion. They have simple eyes, pinhole cameras without lenses, providing low-resolution vision sufficient for navigating and hunting. Nautiluses are ancient, with fossils dating back 500 million years, surviving mass extinctions that eliminated most other cephalopod lineages. But modern populations are declining due to overharvesting for the shell trade and slow reproduction. Females lay eggs only once a year, and juveniles take years to mature, makes recovery difficult. Box jellyfish, class Cubozoa, are the most venomous marine animals, with some species capable of killing humans within minutes. Chironex fleckeri, found in Australian waters, has tentacles up to 3 meters long, covered in millions of nematocysts. A sting delivers venom targeting the heart and nervous system, causing excruciating pain, cardiac arrest, and rapid death if untreated. Box jellyfish have complex eyes, 24 in total, arranged in 4 clusters, including some with lenses and corneas similar to vertebrate eyes. They actively hunt fish and shrimp, swimming with pulsing bell contractions rather than drifting like most jellyfish. Their speed and vision make them effective predators, but their venom is defensive, protecting them from larger predators. Antivenom exists, but it must be administered quickly to be effective. Survivors of box jellyfish stings describe the pain as the worst imaginable. Worse than childbirth or broken bones, and scarring at sting sites can be permanent. Irukandji jellyfish, Carukia barnesi and related species, are tiny, bell diameter only 2 centimeters, but possess venom that causes Irukandji syndrome. Severe pain, nausea, vomiting, difficulty breathing, and a sense of impending doom. The syndrome can last for days, requiring hospitalization. Several deaths have been attributed to Irukandji stings, usually from brain hemorrhages or heart failure, brought on by extreme hypertension triggered by the venom. The jellyfish are nearly transparent and difficult to see, and their small size means they can pass through standard jellyfish nets, making them a significant danger to swimmers in tropical waters. Sea wasps, another type of box jellyfish, are found in Indo-Pacific waters and also possess deadly venom. Their bells are more cube-shaped than round, and they have 4 clusters of tentacles, each containing up to 15 tentacles several meters long. They hunt at high speed, catching fish with venomous stings that paralyze prey instantly. Humans stung by sea wasps experience the same cardiac and respiratory effects as with chironecs, and fatalities occur when stings cover large body areas, delivering lethal venom doses. Jellyfish blooms, massive aggregations numbering millions of individuals, are becoming more common as ocean conditions change. Warming waters, overfishing, and nutrient pollution create favorable conditions for jellyfish while harming their competitors and predators. Blooms clog fishing nets, sting swimmers, clog cooling water intakes for power plants, and disrupt ecosystems by consuming vast quantities of plankton and fish larvae. In some regions, jellyfish biomass now exceeds fish biomass, a fundamental shift in ocean ecology. Some scientists warn we're heading toward jellyfish seas, where gelatinous predators dominate and fish populations remain suppressed, a state that may be difficult to reverse once established. Crown-of-thorns starfish, Acanthaster plansii, are coral predators capable of devastating reef systems. They grow up to 80 centimeters in diameter, covered in venomous spines. Each starfish can consume 6 square meters of coral per year, extruding its stomach over coral polyps and digesting them externally. In normal densities, crown-of-thorns are part of reef ecology, controlling fast-growing coral species and promoting diversity. But population explosions, driven by nutrient runoff that fuels plankton blooms, feeding larval starfish, create outbreaks where tens of thousands of individuals swarm reefs, stripping them bare. Recovery can take decades, and some reefs never fully recover. Efforts to control outbreaks include manual removal and injection with lethal compounds. But these methods are labor-intensive and only effective on small scales. Sea urchins, while not typically considered extreme, include species capable of surviving in harsh conditions. Strongylocentrotus drobachiensis, found in Arctic and subarctic waters, tolerates temperatures near freezing and can live over 30 years. When predators like sea otters are removed, sea urchin populations explode, overgrazing kelp forests and creating urchin barrens, barren rocky areas where kelp is absent and biodiversity collapses. Restoring predator populations can allow kelp forests to regenerate, demonstrating the importance of top-down control in marine ecosystems. Some sea urchins are venomous. Toxopneustes species found in tropical Indo-Pacific waters have pedicelaria, small claw-like structures covering their surface that deliver venom potent enough to cause severe pain, respiratory distress, and paralysis in humans. Deaths have occurred from stings covering large areas. The venom functions primarily as defense against fish and invertebrates that prey on urchins, but it's effective against mammals as well. Moray eels, family Murenidae, are ambush predators inhabiting reef crevices and rocky outcrops from shallow waters to depths exceeding 200 meters. They lack pectoral and pelvic fins, using body undulations to move. Morays have 2 sets of jaws, oral jaws in the mouth and pharyngeal jaws in the throat. When they bite prey, the oral jaws hold it while the pharyngeal jaws shoot forward, grab the prey and pull it into the throat. It's similar to the Alien movie monster, and it's unique among fish. Morays have poor vision, but excellent sense of smell, hunting by detecting chemical cues from prey hiding in crevices. Some species grow over 3 meters long, and while they're not typically aggressive toward humans, defensive bites occur when divers place hands in crevices where morays hide. The bites can be severe with powerful jaws and sharp teeth causing deep lacerations. Conger eels, genus Conger, are another large eel group, found in temperate and tropical waters worldwide, at depths from shallow to over 1,000 meters. European conger eels can exceed 3 meters and weigh over 100 kilograms, making them some of the largest eel species. They're nocturnal hunters, feeding on fish, squid, and crustaceans, using their size and strength to overpower prey. Fishermen occasionally catch large congers, and stories of eels biting through gloves or thrashing violently on boat decks are common. Despite their formidable size, congers are shy, preferring to hide during the day. Hagfish, often called slime eels, though they're not. True eels are jawless fish, one of the most primitive vertebrate groups still existing. They inhabit seafloors from shallow waters to over 5,000 meters depth, scavenging on dead or dying animals. When threatened, hagfish produce enormous quantities of slime. A single hagfish can turn a bucket of water into gel within seconds. The slime clogs predator gills, forcing them to release the hagfish or risk suffocation. Hagfish tie themselves in knots, using the knot to scrape slime off their own bodies or to gain leverage when tearing flesh from carcasses. They have a skull but no backbone, instead possessing a notochord, a flexible rod of cartilage. Hagfish have been on Earth for over 300 million years, predating most modern fish lineages. Commercial fisheries target hagfish for their skin, used to make leather products marketed as eel skin, but populations are declining in some areas due to overfishing. Lampreys, also jawless, are parasitic or scavenging fish with round sucker mouths lined with concentric rows of teeth. Sea lampreys, Petromyzon marinus, attached to fish, rasp through scales and skin with their toothed tongue, and feed on blood and body fluids. They can kill fish by draining blood or causing infections from wounds. Lampreys have caused ecological disasters when introduced to new environments. Great Lakes sea lamprey populations exploded after access via canals, devastating native fish populations and requiring extensive control efforts. Lamprey control includes barriers, traps, and lampricides, chemicals targeting larval lampreys in streams. Despite being ancient and often reviled, lampreys are ecologically important in native ranges, and some species are anadromous, migrating between freshwater and marine environments similar to salmon. Sawfish, family Pristidae, are critically endangered rays with elongated rostrums, snouts edged with tooth-like denticles resembling chainsaws. They use their rostrums to slash through schools of fish, stunning or killing prey, then eating the injured fish. Sawfish inhabit shallow coastal waters, estuaries, and rivers, but populations have collapsed worldwide due to habitat loss, bycatch, and fishing. Their rostrums make them extremely vulnerable to entanglement in nets, and they're targeted for the rostrum itself, sold as novelties or traditional medicine. Some sawfish species are considered functionally extinct in large parts of their former range. Conservation efforts focus on habitat protection and fishing restrictions, but recovery is slow because sawfish mature slowly and produce few offspring. Guitarfish, as mentioned earlier, are rays shaped like guitars with flattened heads and shark-like tails. They're bottom dwellers, feeding on mollusks, and crustaceans detected with electroreceptors. Many species are heavily fished for meat and fins, and populations have declined by over 80% in some regions. The new guitar shark discovered off East Africa highlights how poorly we understand even relatively shallow species and how easily they can be overfished before we've documented them. Electric rays, torpedinidae, generate electric shocks from modified muscle tissue, producing discharges ranging from 8 to 220 volts. They use electricity for hunting and defense, stunning fish with shocks, then consuming them while incapacitated. Humans wading in shallow water have been shocked by rays buried in sand, and while rarely fatal, the shocks can knock people down or cause heart arrhythmias in individuals with cardiac conditions. Ancient Greeks and Romans knew about electric rays and used them for medical treatments, placing the rays on patients to treat headaches or gout with electric shocks, a primitive form of electrotherapy. Stingrays, family Dasyatidae, have barbed venomous spines on their tails used defensively when stepped on or handled. The spine cuts into flesh and venom causes intense pain, swelling, and tissue damage. Most injuries occur when swimmers step on rays buried in sand. The rays lash their tails forward, driving the spine into the foot or leg. The wounds are rarely fatal, but complications include infection and allergic reactions. Steve Irwin, the famous wildlife presenter, was killed in 2006 when a stingray spine punctured his heart during filming, a freak accident, as stings to the chest are exceedingly rare. Normally, stingrays are docile and flee when disturbed, using their spines only as a last resort. Manta rays, genus Mobula, are the largest rays, with wingspans exceeding 7 meters and weights up to 3,000 kilograms. They're filter feeders, swimming with mouths open, funneling plankton and small fish through gill rakers. Mantas are highly intelligent, with the largest brain-to-body ratio of any fish, and they display behaviors suggesting self-awareness, including recognizing themselves in mirrors and showing curiosity toward divers. They aggregate at cleaning stations, reefs where small fish remove parasites from manta skin, and individual mantas return to the same stations repeatedly, suggesting memory and spatial awareness. Despite their size, mantas are gentle and pose no threat to humans. They're targeted by fisheries for their gill rakers, used in traditional Chinese medicine, leading to population declines. Conservation efforts include marine protected areas and fishing bans, but enforcement is difficult and illegal. Fishing continues. Devil rays, smaller relatives of mantas, also filter feed and display similar intelligence. They've been observed leaping entirely out of the water, breaching, though the purpose remains debated. Theories include parasite removal, communication, courtship displays, or play. Breaching devil rays can clear the water by several meters, landing with loud splashes audible from great distances. Fishermen report breaching rays landing in boats, a dangerous situation given their size and the sharp edges of their fins. Sharks represent some of the ocean's most extreme specialists. The whale shark, Rhincodon typus, is the largest fish on Earth, reaching lengths of 18 meters and weights of 34,000 kilograms. It's a filter feeder, consuming plankton, small fish, and even fish eggs during spawning events. Whale sharks migrate thousands of kilometers, following plankton blooms and aggregating at productive feeding sites. They're docile and often allow divers to approach closely. Whale sharks are ovoviviparous. Females produce eggs that hatch internally, giving birth to live young. A single female caught in 1996 was found to carry 300 pups at various developmental stages, suggesting prolonged reproductive cycles. Whale sharks are endangered due to fishing and ship strikes, and conservation involves satellite tagging to track migrations and inform shipping lanes and marine protected area designations. Basking sharks, Cetorhinus maximus, are the second largest fish, reaching 10 meters and 5,000 kilograms. They also filter feed, swimming with mouths agape, straining plankton through gill rakers. Basking sharks inhabit temperate waters, often seen at the surface, hence basking. They migrate seasonally, following plankton blooms, and can dive to depths exceeding 900 meters, possibly to feed on deep-water plankton or to escape surface conditions. Basking sharks were heavily fished for liver oil, meat, and fins, and populations declined severely before protections were enacted. Recovery is slow due to low reproductive rates. Females give birth to only a few pups every 2 to 3 years, after a gestation lasting up to 3 years, one of the longest among sharks. Megamouth sharks, Megachasma pelagios, are one of the rarest sharks, with fewer than 100 sightings since their discovery in 1976. They're filter feeders like whale and basking sharks, but inhabit deeper waters, typically 200 to 1,000 meters during the day, rising to shallower depths at night to follow plankton. Their mouths are lined with photophores that may attract plankton, though this remains speculative. Megamouths grow to 5.5 meters, and their rarity makes them a subject of intense scientific interest. Each specimen that washes ashore or is caught accidentally provides valuable data on this poorly understood species. Goblin sharks, already mentioned, deserve more attention. Their extendable jaws are truly bizarre. When prey is near, the jaws shoot forward several centimeters, unfolding like a hidden blade, snapping up the prey before retracting. This mechanism, called jaw protrusion, is extreme in goblin sharks, powered by specialized ligaments and muscles. Prey in footage shows no time to react. One moment they're swimming near the shark, the next they're inside its mouth, the jaws already retracting. It's an ambush tactic perfected over millions of years. Cookie-cutter sharks, Icystius brasiliensis, are small, around 50 centimeters, but leave distinctive circular wounds on larger animals. They attach with sucker-like lips, bite with triangular teeth, then twist their bodies, carving out a plug of flesh like a cookie cutter removes dough. Cookie cutters have attacked whales, dolphins, large fish, submarines, and even underwater cables, mistaking them for prey. The wounds are rarely fatal to large animals, but they leave permanent scars. Cookie cutters exhibit counter-illumination, glowing on their undersides to match surface light, but a small dark patch near their pectoral fins doesn't glow, resembling a small fish. Predators attacking what they think is a small fish instead encounter a shark with a mouthful of razor-sharp teeth. It's a defensive strategy, using light as camouflage and bait simultaneously. Greenland sharks, already discussed for longevity, also have one of the slowest swimming speeds of any shark, averaging around 1 kilometer per hour. Their sluggish metabolism matches their cold Arctic environment, where every calorie is precious. Despite slow speeds, they successfully hunt seals, possibly by ambushing them while they sleep or by scavenging carcasses. Greenland shark meat is toxic due to high levels of trimethylamine oxide, which breaks down into trimethylamine, a compound that causes symptoms similar to extreme intoxication. Icelandic tradition involves fermenting and drying the meat, a dish called hakal, which reduces toxicity but retains a strong ammonia smell and taste, described as one of the worst foods in the world. Frilled sharks, already mentioned, also possess unique reproductive biology. Females carry embryos for up to 42 months, far longer than any other vertebrate except some salamanders. The embryos develop slowly in the cold, deep waters, and when born they're relatively large and well-developed, ready to hunt independently. This reproductive strategy, few offspring, long gestation, high parental investment, characterizes many deep-sea species where food scarcity makes raising numerous young impractical. Thresher sharks, genus Alopias, have tails as long as their bodies, up to 3 meters, used as weapons. They herd baitfish into tight schools, then whip their tails through the school at speeds exceeding 80 kilometers per hour, stunning or killing multiple fish with a single strike. Underwater footage shows thresher sharks hunting cooperatively, working together to concentrate prey before striking. The tail is muscular and powerful, capable of breaking bones if it strikes a human, though such incidents are rare, as threshers typically avoid people. Thresher sharks are targeted by fisheries for their meat and fins, and populations are declining globally. Hammerhead sharks, family Sphyrnidae, have laterally flattened heads with eyes positioned at the ends, providing exceptionally wide visual fields, nearly 360 degrees. The head also acts as a hydrofoil, aiding maneuverability, and it's packed with ampullae of Lorenzini that detect electric fields. Hammerheads hunt stingrays by sweeping their heads over sandy bottoms, detecting buried rays with electroreceptors, then pinning them with the head while biting. Some hammerheads caught have dozens of stingray barbs embedded in their mouths and faces, showing they're unbothered by repeated stings. Great hammerheads, Sphyrna mocaran, grow to 6 meters and are apex predators, hunting fish, rays, and other sharks. They're critically endangered due to overfishing for fins and meat. Bull sharks, Carcharhinus lucus, are unique among sharks for tolerating fresh water. They've been found thousands of kilometers up rivers, including the Amazon, Mississippi, and Ganges, and they inhabit Lake Nicaragua, entering via a river from the Caribbean. Bull sharks are aggressive, with high testosterone levels, and they're considered one of the most dangerous sharks to humans due to their presence in shallow, murky waters where people swim. They're ambush predators, attacking with sudden bursts of speed, targeting fish, dolphins, and sometimes humans. Their ability to osmoregulate, maintain internal salt balance in fresh water, is rare among sharks and allows them to exploit prey unavailable to most marine predators. Tiger sharks, Galiocerdo cuvier, are notorious for eating almost anything. Stomach contents have included fish, seals, birds, turtles, license plates, tires, and garbage. They're called the waste baskets of the sea due to their indiscriminate diet. Tiger sharks have serrated teeth adapted for cutting tough materials like turtle shells and bone. They grow to 5 meters and are considered one of the most dangerous sharks, responsible for numerous attacks on humans, though fatalities are relatively rare. Tiger sharks are important in controlling prey populations, and in some regions where they've been overfished, prey species like sea turtles have increased, causing overgrazing of seagrass beds and ecosystem changes. Great white sharks, Carcharodon carcharias, are apex predators reaching 6 meters and 2,000 kilograms. They hunt seals, sea lions, and large fish, using speed and surprise. Great whites breach when attacking seals, launching entirely out of the water, sometimes clearing 3 meters, in spectacular displays of power and agility. Their bite force exceeds 4,000 pounds per square inch, powerful enough to bite through bone. Great whites are long-lived, possibly exceeding 70 years, and females don't mature until around 30 years old, producing few pups. This slow reproduction makes them vulnerable to overfishing, and populations are declining globally. Conservation efforts include protection in many countries, but enforcement is challenging and illegal fishing persists. That's the deep ocean, not a void, not empty, not lifeless, a universe as complex as any rainforest, as diverse as any coral reef, as essential as any ecosystem on the planet, and we've barely begun to understand it. Every extreme adaptation you've heard in this script, the pressure tolerance, the bioluminescence, the gigantism, the low oxygen survival, is real, documented, measured, and filmed. These animals exist. They're living their lives in darkness, cold, and pressure while you listen to this. And they'll continue unless we destroy their habitats before we understand them. The deep sea is not alien. It's Earth. It's part of the same system that gives us weather, oxygen, food, and climate stability. What happens there affects what happens here, and what we do here decides what survives there. That's not a metaphor. That's documented fact.